Here we have a General Motors 2001 model year Chevrolet Cavalier Z24 Coupe, or as I like to refer to it, my NX-01-B Cavalier. Basically the reason why I started calling it that was I've driven another Cavalier, the one I call my NX-01-A, and loosely inspired by Star Trek, mainly Star Trek Enterprise, my favorite of the Star Treks. When my family got a Sunfire, and I acquired from my family the 1996 Cavalier that they had, I was often encouraged to borrow the Sunfire. I dubbed them my own personal NX-01 and NX-02. My own little vessels to travel the landscape in search of fun and amusement. But, of course, then I thought to myself, there was another Cavalier I really liked that my family had, and I decided to retroactively consider that to be the NX-01, and thus NX-01-A became what I called my Cavalier. But I also considered, and I was loosely inspired by the fact in the Ghostbusters video game, that the Ecto-1B was more like the original Ecto-1 than the Ecto-1A had been. That really my NX-01 cars really should be vehicles that end with the letter of the alphabet and all somehow represent each other, different manifestations of the same vehicle. So, during an event known as, that I call the Bad Mechanics Crisis, which caused my NX-01A to be laid up longer than it ever should have had to be in, when I took it to a mechanic who did far more damage than good, while waiting for it to be repaired, I decided to get myself an other Cavalier. Like the old 1987 Cavalier, I wanted a coupe and a red Cavalier. And unfortunately, this doesn't have the overhead valve engine, which I do prefer, but it actually has a pretty nice driving 2.4 liter double overhead cam engine. It became my NX-01-B, an alternate substitute for the car that I consider my original NX-01 prototype, the NX-01 Proto-01 Cavalier. So thus, this has become an alternate vehicle to my own personal NX-01A, or I could call it my numbered independent variable 01 cars. All have something in common with that original Cavalier. And this one I don't plan to do anything to modify, but I will try to keep it restored as close to original as possible for the time being.